Now, moving on to more international news, and this is a story that I'm sure is being talked about by pretty much everybody in Twitch politics. That is the murder, and I am going to call it murder, of Shereen Abu Aqleh, a Palestinian journalist, a Palestinian-American journalist for Al Jazeera. Now, let's talk about this, though. We want to give you all the news and everything like that before I get into what I think it means and that sort of thing. So let's talk about it. So an Al Jazeera correspondent was killed and a Palestinian journalist was wounded yesterday while reporting from the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. Murdered. Now, Shereen Abu Aqleh, a 51-year-old Palestinian-American journalist, was a household name across the Middle East for her coverage on the conflict. She was wearing a press vest that clearly marked her as press and was covering the latest arrest operations launched by the Israeli military amid deadly Arab attacks in Israel. Now, it should be noted that these attacks were in response to a violation of to violent raids inside various mosques across the West Bank. Yep, Alaska. All right. Yep. In April 15th, the Israeli forces raided the Alaska mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem, with medics reporting at least 158 Palestinians injured. This is a common occurrence. It is an actual tactic taken on by the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, in order to flush out militants that are loyal to Hamas and other extremist groups. But it targets civilians in doing so. So they know exactly what they're doing. They know that if they raid these mosques, they will violate the rights of the people that are praying there, piss off a ton of people. It will cause an disruption, protest, violent or not. They react in kind, and more so. So they react with greater force than whatever is that happens with the protest. And generally speaking, a bunch of people get killed because of it. And by a bunch of people, I mean Palestinians. Because rarely do Israeli soldiers or Israelis, let's be clear, Israeli Jews, get killed in these riots. And it should be stated and emphasized that she was clearly wearing press designated attire. She wore the standard press across the chest of the bulletproof vest, blue helmet with press across it, and it is clear as day in the videos. We will not show those videos because they're hard to watch. But it's clear in the videos that she is a reporter, and then she is killed. Not only is she killed, but her colleagues are prevented from giving her assistance. So in the wake of what I am going to call a murder here, the Palestinian Authority was quick to blame Israel. Honestly, given all the evidence that is out, as it should. While Prime Minister Natif Bennett said that she was likely killed by stray Palestinian gunfire, which is more than likely bullshit. Her colleagues said there was at the time no fighting, and in the video, I do not hear any fighting. I am not willing to give the IDF at this point a benefit of doubt, but if it comes out that there was fighting, so be it. But that is not what the evidence right now shows. So who are you going to believe? Your own lying eyes or the IDF? Continuing on with the copy, late yesterday, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz conceded that it could have been the Palestinians who shot her or fire from our side, after saying unequivocally that it was not. He is quoted saying that, "We are not certain how she was killed, but we want to get to the bottom of this incident to uncover the truth as much as we can," Gantz told reporters. The other journalist who was wounded, Ali Samoudi, said Israeli forces suddenly opened fire towards Abu Aqleh and himself during the Jenin operation. He disputed an Israeli military account that the gunmen were nearby when the two were shot. Treated for his wounds in the hospital, Samudi told reporters, quote, "They, being Israeli soldiers, didn't ask us to leave and they didn't ask us to stop filming. They fired at us. One bullet hit me and another hit Shereen. They killed her in cold blood." World leaders, human rights defenders, and press freedom groups condemned the killing and called for an investigation. No, I didn't see Connor talking about this. Okay, let me go ahead and put this on the screen because it's important and it's good to clarify. All right, so Tenflix said, "Hey, did you see Connor talking about this? Pretty much said that her press gear would have been indistinguishable from combat gear at a distance. The shouts sounded like they were coming from." Now, that might be true. Okay, but just because somebody is in combat gear doesn't mean you fucking open fire on them. And that's the problem here, right? I do not want to give the IDF a benefit of doubt here, simply because they use these tactics to try to flush out radicals, and they have no qualms about group punishment when it comes to Palestinians, especially those in the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. Calling it an occupied region is 100% the right thing to do. It is incidences like this that make a two-state solution seem less and less credible as time goes on. And the reason for that is, with so much bad blood and animosity, the shrinking territory of Palestinians, the inability for Palestinians to make a living without the forever harassment, every day, over-the-top harassment, constant security checks and everything like that, creates a situation that is not tenable. I don't know how else to put this. What Israel does to the Palestinians is abhorrent and wrong. It is, you know what, I'm just going to say that. It is very much apartheid. One can say that that terrorists and the like raise the stakes on this. That is probably true. But when a government claims to be liberal and a democracy, it has to be held to a higher standard than other governments are, especially when they are allies of the United States. And every time they do something like this, it is a violation of human rights and basic human decency. And by this, I mean the raids. Of course, the murder is wrong, right? That's just wrong in general. But it is a guaranteed, it is a near guarantee result of the occupation and the rhetoric surrounding how Israelis treat Palestinians. We saw the same thing happened in the South in the United States, in South Africa, in other areas of the world that have a repressed group. And it should not surprise anybody that it becomes to a boiling point and people get killed.